This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. And this is going to be my full card predictions. We are going to go through every single fight on the card. And I know it sounds crazy. I'm king of criticizing the UFC for lackluster cards. I actually can't wait for this card. I'm actually excited for a Fight Night card. I'll be live streaming the majority of this card. If you care to join me on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, actually, it's 7 p.m. in Vegas, as you guys know. But if you guys enjoy prediction videos, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like the video. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll leave timestamps down in the description if you care to check out a particular matchup on this card. Let's jump right into it. The people's main event, as some would say. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Dare I say first round heavyweight heel hook again? Dare I say first round heavyweight heel hook again for Marcus Buchecha? I called Johnny Walker, not Johnny Walker, Walter Walker. Maybe I should go for it again. Look, Martin Buday, scrubby, blobby, bag of milk built heavyweight, okay? I'm in better shape than Martin Buday, contrary to popular belief. He's coming off a win against some scrubs, one including a split decision against Andrei Arlovski, lost to Shamil Gaziev. No shame in that. No shame in that. Marcus Buchecha is a guy coming in, has a lot of BJJ experience, has a lot of, jiu-jitsu competitions that he's participated in. He has a little bit of MMA experience. I'm taking him as a skilled jiu-jitsu guy to beat Martin Buday. Martin Buday's split decisioning Andrei Arlovski on his deathbed. I mean, Andrei Arlovski, one foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel, and Buday can only meek out a split decision. I'm going to go Buchecha submission. I'm going to say first round heel hook. I'm going to go for, you know what? I'm going to say first round heel hook. I'm going to say that. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm picking Buchecha to win via sub. I think he gets him down. I think he subs him, whether it's a heel hook, whether it's a rear naked choke. I'm going to say first round heel hook for Marcus Buchecha just for the meme, but I believe it. He has it. I mean, he has it. 2 fights ago, one via heel hook over in ONE FC. So I'm going Buchecha to win via first round sub. Next fight on the card, we have Muhammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. Yahya's scrubby. I'm going Stephen Nguyen. Yahya's on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Kawhi Fernandez. Got destroyed by Kawhi Fernandez. Before that, lost to Trevor Peek. And before that, he's fighting scrubs and UAE warriors. He's not particularly great anywhere. Primarily a striker, but pretty slow, to be quite honest, on the feet. Nguyen's coming off a loss against Jarno Aarons, which isn't particularly great. But I think Nguyen's better, man. He has a win on Dana White's Contender Series against AJ Cunningham. I think he's the slicker striker. I think he has more power. I think he's faster. I just see him going out there and outstriking Muhammad Yahya. I don't know where Muhammad Yahya wins this fight, to be quite honest. I don't rate him very highly. Wasn't there another fight Muhammad Yahya was in? Maybe it ended up being a draw, so it's not on Tapology or something. Not a draw. Was it a no contest or something where he got kicked in the groin? I thought they ruled it a TKO or something. Am I crazy for thinking that? I'll have to look at it after this video. But yeah, I'm picking Stephen Nguyen to get it done. I think he's faster on the feet. I think he has better kickboxing. I'm surprised Yahya's still in the UFC after 2 straight losses. So I'm going to Stephen Nguyen to outstrike him and win. I'm going to say second round TKO. I just think he's slicker on the feet. So I'm going to say he catches him in the second round, puts him down. I think he kind of beats him up a little bit in the first round. Second round, he gets a little bit more aggressive, clips him, puts him down, TKOs him with ground and pound. Going second round TKO for Stephen Nguyen. Next fight on the card, we have Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elekana. It's hard to be like, oh, I'm definitely going Ibo Aslan, because that's what I want to say. But he lost to Iwan Kutalaba, man. He gets subbed by Iwan Kutalaba, got out-grappled by him. Before that, had some okay wins. The Pleasure Man, Anton Turkali, came off Dana White's Contender Series. Billy Elekana came in, lost to Bogdan Guskov, who's also on this card. Look, I don't think Billy Elekana is all that great. If I'm not mistaken, he came in on short notice against Guskov. He gets subbed. I don't think he has the wrestling background to go out there and out-grapple Aslan And that's basically what you need to beat a guy like Ibo Aslan, who is a decent power striker, has decent hands, has decent kickboxing overall, but his hole is kind of his grappling. And I just don't know if Billy Elekana can expose his grappling. So I'm going to go Aslan to get it done. I think Aslan, nasty finisher, KO power. I think he goes out there and probably finishes him in the first round. You know, I know, didn't Billy, I'm trying to remember because I didn't really rewatch a lot of footage for this fight card. I'm pretty sure he had like one moment in the Guskov fight. But I just don't think one moment and then you get submitted against Guskov means you're going to beat a guy like Ibo Aslan. But I'm telling you right now, I don't rate Iwan Kutalaba that highly. And so I'm a little bit like questioning Ibo Aslan. But look at the beard, man. The beard here should be a little bit longer. The physique looks, you know, we have very similar attributes. So I got to go Ibo Aslan. I'm going to say first round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Amanda Ribas versus Tabatha Ricci. Women's MMA, women's MMA, women's MMA. I'm going Tabatha Ricci. She likes to shadow box from range and not really land a whole lot and just punch air and dice up her opponent and really just punch air the entire time. And it's really kind of shitty. Amanda Ribas has okay kickboxing, has decent jiu-jitsu. She's coming off 2 losses. She got subbed by Mackenzie Dern. Prior to that, lost to Rose Namajunas. So not horrible losses, fighting top-level opposition. Last wins against Luana Pinheiro, was actually losing that fight and came back and got a spinning wheel kick KO in the 3rd round. Before that, lost to Macy Barber, who's literally a scrub as well. Tabatha Ricci coming off a loss against Yan Xiaonan. Before that, a win over Angela Hill and Tisha Pennington. Honestly, outside of Yan Xiaonan, this is Tabatha Ricci's toughest test yet. But I think she wins. Ricci, I think she's decently well-rounded. She has good grappling. She has decent kickboxing. She's low level, but so is kind of Ribas. I mean, Ribas has fought some of the best, and she always loses. So while I could see Ribas getting this done via the striking, I just see Tabatha Ricci going out there, punching a lot of air. But in a fight that not a lot is going on, I think it's going to give her the edge on the scorecards. So I'm going to pick Tabatha Ricci to get it done. I'm going to say a 29-28 controversial decision win because there's a lot of air punching. Now, ultimately on the ground, I think it's really going to... I really think they're going to kind of wash each other out or even each other out. So it's going to be primarily standing and it's going to be an ugly striking fest. And I think Tabatha Ricci will just put out more volume. And that's what will get her the ultimate win on the scorecards, even though some people are going to be like, I think Ribas landed a bit more, and maybe she did a little bit more damage, but Ricci's going to just be constantly punching at the guard, throwing kicks, moving her feet, and just the optics are going to be better for Ricci in a very close fight, and I think she's going to get the decision. Next fight on the card, we have Davey Grant versus Damon Blackshear. Man, Davey Grant is tough to pick against. I got to be honest, even at 39, almost 40 years old, it's like somehow he pulls it off. He beat Ramon Tavares in his last fight. I think I picked against him there. I might have picked him. Lost to Daniel Marcos, who is decent. Lost to him via split decision, razor close fight. Before that, beat Rafael Sansao. Before that, beat Luis Smoka. Before that, lost to Adrian Yanez. Split decision again. You have Damon Blackshear on a 3-fight winning streak. Alatang Haley, Cody Gibson, Cody Stamen. 2 of those subs, the other one a decision. Listen, I think Damon Blackshear gets it done. Davey Grant is just super gritty and well-rounded. He has decent striking. He's super durable. He's not easy to take down and control. It's not like he has a glaring hole in his grappling game where you can just take him down and maul him and hold him down. His striking isn't the best, but it's not like, oh, he's going to get washed by any half-decent striker. Now, Damon Blackshear, I think, is actually underrated. Has very good grappling, has good submission ability, has decent striking. And I just think you have to take the 30-year-old, right? You can't take the 40-year-old. I think Damon Blackshear is just at that level where Davey Grant can have a decent performance against, but ultimately Damon Blackshear is going to pull it out. I think he mixes in the grappling. I think the striking, he'll do okay against Davey Grant. But when Davey Grant starts to land or have any success, I think Damon Blackshear will get to the clinch, find a takedown, do a little bit of damage on the ground. Davey Grant might scramble back up. Maybe Damon Blackshear takes his back for a minute or so before Davey Grant eventually finds a way to scramble out. But I think Damon Blackshear gets it done. I think he's probably going to beat him via decision. Davey Grant's not a guy who's easy to finish by any means. I mean, his last few fights, he hasn't been finished in years. Even against a guy like Yanez, on his come up before he had taken a lot of damage, was going tooth and nail with Davey Grant. So I'm going to go Damon Blackshear, but I'm going to say he wins a close decision that he clearly wins, but basically wins with some positional control and a little bit, like 5 or 6 punches on the ground are going to be the difference in like deciding round in this fight. But I'm picking Damon Blackshear. I'll say 29-28 decision win for Damon Blackshear. Next fight on the card, we have Muslim Salikhov versus Carlos Leal. Does this one need a lot of explanation? Carlos Leal is a monster. I gotta be honest, Carlos Leal makes me question the UFC's drug testing that is all in-house, and somehow the media never covers that it is 100% in-house drug testing. And they pretend it like it was independent. Anyway, Leal beat Renat, arguably. Okay, a lot of people thought he beat Renat on short notice. Short notice was it, I believe? Either way, he looked incredible in that fight. Was hard to take down, had an unbelievable chin, which dead giveaway. Since then, he then beat Alex Morono, destroyed Alex Morono. Muslim Salikhov is on a 2-fight win streak against Kenan Song and Santiago Ponzinibbio. He's 41 years old. His cardio isn't great. His striking is primarily reliant on his kicking game, but he slows down because he throws a lot of explosive spinning techniques. And I think Carlos Leal is just going to be able to outstrike him. And I think as Salikhov slows down, I think Leal is just going to be marching him down, taking big shots right on the chin, not even getting wobbled, not getting hurt at all, marching him down like a madman in that second round, third round, and probably finding a finish. So I'm going to pick Leal to get it done. I'm going to say late second round TKO or early third round TKO because Salikhov slows down in every single fight. Naturally, when you start to get older, when you're 41 going on 42 years old, it's harder for you to be well-conditioned. And I think a guy like Carlos Leal, who's arguably in his prime, a guy who arguably beat a guy in Renat Fakhretdinov, who's a very interesting prospect within the 170-pound division, and looks like he's juiced to the gills. I mean, one of the dead giveaways back in the day, before any drug testing, some of these guys that just had unbelievable chins, like it was like nothing even impactful would even get them to back up for a second, and that's the vibes Leal gives in every single fight. And I think eventually, as Muslim Salikhov's trying to throw spinning techniques to the body, he's going to get tired. He's going to slow down. Leal's not. He's going to march forward, crack him with some big punches, eventually hurt him and finish him. I'm going to say Carlos Leal, late second round, TKO. Next fight on the card. This is the featured prelim. We have Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov at bantamweight. I've been tossing this one back and forth because Said Nurmagomedov does have a hole in his game when it comes to pressure grapplers. We've seen it against Sedyukab Kakramanov, who was taking him down, was out wrestling him, and then Said was able to get a guillotine. In his last fight, lost to Vinicius Oliveira, started to slow down in that fight. Before that, beat Nguyen Gafarov, submitted him. Before that, lost to Jonathan Martinez. Very close fight. Bryce has that pressure style and that pressure pace. He's coming off a loss against Jean Silva, where everyone, for some reason, was rooting for Bryce because he said edgy things about a certain group of people. I don't know how much to take that into account, but look, listen, I've always thought Bryce is kind of scrubby, but he has good cardio. He has good wrestling. He can pressure you nonstop. And if you can't deal with the grappling, then all of a sudden the striking starts to add up. I thought Edson Barboza years ago was going to smoke Bryce Mitchell. And because of the threat of the grappling and the nonstop pressure from Bryce Mitchell, he eventually was landing on the feet against Edson Barboza. So I could see a scenario where Bryce kind of takes the Sedyukab Kakramanov route against Said Nurmagomedov. But don't let the last name fool you. This Nurmagomedov's grappling, especially like his wrestling and defensive wrestling, isn't that great. His cardio isn't that great. But he's a very good kickboxer, particularly his variety of kicks on the feet. And also, he has a nasty guillotine. And Bryce Mitchell was giving up that guillotine left and right against Jean Silva in his last fight. Eventually ended up getting submitted by a ninja choke. Moving down a weight class, I don't know if he's going to be as strong. I don't know how the weight cut is going to affect him. So I'm going to go Said Nurmagomedov. I almost said Sedyukab Kakramanov again. But I'm going Said Nurmagomedov. I think Bryce probably gets caught in a guillotine. I think it's going to be a similar scenario to, I'm trying to think, how can I not think? Jonathan Pierce versus Brito, Joe Anderson Brito, I think is the fight I'm thinking of. I think Bryce is going to have some success early, but I think Nurmagomedov's going to do okay on the feet particularly. He's going to do okay stuffing the takedowns, especially early. He's going to be kicking at Bryce Mitchell's body. Bryce isn't going to be as strong because he moved down a weight class. Maybe his energy is sapped and he can't put the level of pressure he typically can. And I think Bryce is just typically sloppy with his takedowns because he just relies on that, you know, that just gritty American wrestling nonstop. Nurmagomedov knows that. There's no doubt about it. He knows what's coming. And Bryce was giving up his neck to Gene Silva left and right. So I think said Nurmagomedov, again, I almost did it again there. I think he's going to latch up a guillotine. So I'm going to say Said Nurmagomedov. I'm saying his name 8 different ways in this video. I'm going to pick Nurmagomedov to win via guillotine. I think Bryce is going to get subbed again. Bryce is kind of scrubby, man. I know people want to like him. He's an interesting character. He beat Crone Gracie. Whoop-de-doo. Before that, got flatlined by Josh Emmett. Before that, okay, he beat Dan Ige. I thought he lost that fight. Before that, got dominated by Ilya Taporia. I don't think Bryce is that good. His best win is kind of a washed-up Edson Barboza. He's moving down a weight class. He's dumb as Apollo rocks, and I think Said Nurmagomedov is going to be able to guillotine him off a sloppy entry for a takedown. And I'm going to say Said Nurmagomedov, second-round guillotine win. Next fight on the card, opening up the main card. This is actually a banger. We have Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. Man, Nikita Krylov in his last fight got brutally slumped by Dominic Reyes. Hard for me to forget that. Sits out for 2.5 years, comes back and gets slumped by the corpse of Dominic Reyes. Bogdan Guskov is a madman with nasty power in his hands. And Nikita Krylov's returning after 2 months, little over 2 months, almost 3 months, since he got brutally slapped by Dominic Reyes. Slumped. Bogdan has nasty power in his hands. Need I say more? I'm going Bogdan Guskov. Krylov's going to have to grapple him. Could he out-grapple him? Sure, he could. But where's his confidence going to be at after getting slumped by Dominic Reyes? And also, I just think, you know, if Dominic Reyes is putting you out, don't get me wrong, Dominic Reyes has decent power. He has decent hands. But Guskov fights like a fucking madman. He's slinging power in every single shot. And he has nasty finishing ability. Has a guillotine win in his last fight against Billy Elekana, who's on the card earlier. Before that, KO'd Ryan Spann, who's now having success at heavyweight. Before that, KO'd Zach Paunga. His last loss against Volkan Ozdemir, he did decent in that fight. And he got submitted in that fight. He gassed out, going crazy, fighting wild. I think early Guskov is not going to be easy to take down. I think Krylov's striking leaves a lot to be desired. It's not great at all. He's primarily a grappler. So I think what this fight comes down to is, can Krylov get the takedown early? And I don't think he will be able to. He needs to rely on his grappling against a guy like Bogdan Guskov. And early Guskov is very strong and powerful and has decent grappling. If this gets into the later rounds, I could see Krylov getting like a late submission, like a late second round, early third round, late third round sub off a gas Guskov. But if Guskov doesn't blow his load, pause, swinging wild, looking for a brutal KO, I don't see any other way for Nikita Krylov to win. I think Bogdan Guskov is probably going to clip him in the first round and put him away. I'm picking Guskov via KO. I'm going to say late first round KO. I think he's going to fight like a madman. Could he gas and then he could end up getting subbed later? Sure. I already said that. But I don't think it's going to happen. Krylov leaves his chin to be had on the feet. Guskov knows what's coming. Quick turnaround after a brutal KO, after a 3-year layoff. I'm going Bogdan Guskov first round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Asul Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. This one's tough, man. This one's tough. Jose Ochoa just got a brutal KO win against Cody Durden a month ago. Before that, lost to Loner Kavanaugh, I forgot how to pronounce his name. Asul Almabayev coming off that loss against Manel Kape, where Manel Kape brutally eye-poked him multiple times before eventually TKOing him, which really is just a straight-up myth. He didn't actually TKO him. Listen, Almabayev's decent. He's not great. He's well-rounded. Ochoa's nasty on the feet, man. And the fact that he's, having a quick turnaround. I think he's a super interesting prospect. He's 24 years old. He's lightning fast on the feet, has good finishing ability. Hands are very fast, has dynamic attacks on the feet. I like Almabayev's skill set, man. I really do. He has good grappling that he can mix in as well. I'm going Ochoa. I'm going the more active guy. I'm going the guy coming off a win. I'm going the 24-year-old prospect. I think Almabayev may very well win this fight, but coming off that kind of stinker performance against Manel Kape that he took on short notice, getting brutally eye-poked like 4 or 5 times, he's returning against an absolute killer in Jose Ochoa, who looked very good against Cody Durden. I know Cody Durden isn't on the same level as a guy like Almabayev, and Almabayev's definitely going to try to grapple in this matchup. I just think Ochoa is going to have his hands low because he has a striking advantage. He's going to be tagging him on the feet. I think it's going to be a close competitive fight. Almabayev will get a couple takedowns, but I think ultimately Jose Ochoa wins. I'm going to pick him to win. I'm going to say he wins via decision. I don't see him putting Almabayev away. It took Manel Kape, 8 fouls to put him away. So I'm not going to pick him to put Almabayev away, but I think it's going to be a close competitive fight. I'm going to say Jose Ochoa wins. And it's like one of those performances where like, damn, Ochoa is actually a legit prospect within the flyweight division that needs prospects. So I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Almabayev loses. I'm going Jose Ochoa. I'll say 29-28 decision, close fight. Matter of fact, let me look at Tapology real quick. Yeah, Tapology has 68% for Almabayev. I just think it's because he's the more prominent name. Ochoa, I know he hasn't fought great opposition. I know, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He's coming out of LFA. I thought he was on Dana White's Contender Series. Maybe he was on Tough. I don't remember right now off the top of my head. But either way, this is a big step up in opposition for Ochoa, and I think he gets it done via decision against Almabayev. Next fight on the card. The featured fight on the card, I believe. Yeah, the featured fight. Oh, these top 3 fights. We have Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Marc-André Barriault. I don't think this is an easy of a pick as a lot of people are going to make it out to be, because Marc-André Barriault has good cardio and Shara Bullet has absolute dog shit grappling. He has no wrestling. I would maul him in his one eye. I would kiss my girl in the mall and then I would dunk Shara Bullet Magomedov on his fucking head. Okay? But that being said, Shara has a massive striking advantage. Very good kickboxer. Is Barriault actually going to try to grapple? Barriault likes to just primarily strike. He's got a win over the dead body of Bruno Silva in his last fight. What does that really mean? I don't think it means anything. Before that, got KO'd by Dustin Stolfus. Before that, got KO'd by Joe Pyfer. Face down, ass up, doggy style SKO. Before that, split decision loss against Chris Curtis. Lost the entire fight. Last win before that was Eric Anders. So Bruno Silva and Eric Anders as wins in the last 2 years for Marc-André Barriault. Shara Bullet's coming off a shit performance against MVP where he, really couldn't get going at all because MVP's, tricky striking style. Before that, beat Armen Petrosyan, which is weird because I actually rated Petrosyan decently high. That was a crazy highlight reel KO, but Petrosyan going to play into Shara Bullet Magomedov's game and strike primarily. Before that, a win over Mikhail Oleszejczyk. Before that, a win over Antonio Tricoli, who's a straight-up scrub. And before that, a win over bummy-ass Bruno Silva, where he didn't look good. He got out-grappled in that fight. Listen, I think there's a path to victory. I'm looking at Tapology right now, 93% are picking Magomedov. I think there's a path to victory for Barriault. Am I picking him? Absolutely not. I'm picking Shara Bullet to get it done. The fact that he's got KO'd, Barriault's got KO'd in 3 out of his last 5 fights, or 2 out of his last 5 fights, and brutal KOs at that. He's only beaten the scrubbiest of all scrubbiest. I don't think he's going to mix in the grappling. I think he's going to go out there and strike with Shara Bullet. Shara Bullet, nasty kicks, good leg kicks, very fast kicking game overall. Great kickboxer. His grappling is shit, but is Barriault actually going to grapple him? I don't think so. So I'm going to pick Shara Bullet to get it done. I'm going to say like a 2nd or 3rd round TKO because Barriault's decently tough. I think he's going to be, kind of conservative early, worried about walking into a finish against Shara Bullet. So I think early Magomedov's going to be chopping the legs and beating up the body, and then other shots are going to open up for him and materialize as the fight goes on. And eventually Shara Bullet finds a brutal head kick KO. I'm going to say 3rd round head kick KO for Shara Bullet Magomedov in the featured fight of UFC Abu Dhabi. But don't be shocked. if he gets out-grappled and loses. But one thing I will say, when he was getting out-grappled by Bruno Silva, he was just throwing nasty elbows from the bottom the entire time. So maybe he would do that again. But again, Barriault doesn't have the best wrestling at all, nor does he have anything on the feet that's going to throw Magomedov off like MVP did, who's got that tricky in-and-out style, very fast on the feet. I'm picking Shara Bullet to get it done. 3rd round, head kick KO. Next fight on the card, co-main event. Man, this is a tough one, boys. This is a tough one. We have Petr Yan versus Marcus McGhee. I think there's a case to be made for Marcus McGhee. Marcus McGhee, I understand he hasn't fought the best opposition, but he's fought decent opposition. Jonathan Martinez. Before that, okay, Gaston Bolaños. Before that, JP Buys. Before that, Journey Newsome. But listen, the Jonathan Martinez win is good. And then before that, the bums that he's facing, he's flatlining. Brutally finished Gaston Bolaños. That wasn't a flatline. That was standing TKO. But before that, JP Buys, bum, scrub, made him look like a scrub. That's what I always talk about. You know, some people, when they start debating, you know, about, okay, well, these wins weren't that great. I say, look, you also have to take into account what they did to the scrubs. And Marcus McGhee, when he fought these guys who weren't good, he absolutely murked them. And then when he fought someone who was decent, he still beat him in Jonathan Martinez. That being said, Petr Yan's 32 years old. He's a former champion. He's one of the elite of the elite. To be honest, his only real loss in my mind is the Merab loss. You know, at least in the UFC, where he got out-grappled by Merab. But he lost the best against Merab. Not that I'm giving out a participation trophy here. The Sean O'Malley loss was a brutal robbery. Before that, Aljamain Sterling fight was close. I thought Petr Yan should have won. And then since those losses, he beat Song Yadong. He beat Davison Figueiredo. You have to go Petr Yan. You have to go Petr Yan. I wish this was a 5-round fight, man. I wish this was a 5-round co-main event. Marcus McGhee, it's now or never. I like that they're pushing him into a big spot against a former champion. Marcus McGhee's 35 years old in the bantamweight division. He's in his prime. He has nasty striking. He's hard to take down and control. Petr Yan starts slow. So don't be surprised if Marcus McGhee wins the first round. I think Song Yadong took the first round off of him. And then Petr Yan was boxing him up and out-grappling him in the second or third. I'm pretty sure. But Petr Yan, I just think fundamentally his striking is so much more technical than Marcus McGhee. He has, you know, a 2-inch reach disadvantage against McGhee. And also McGhee's 1 inch taller. But I just think McGhee, while he's looked good, I think the Petr Yan fight, I think it's going to be too much for him. And I still think Petr Yan is championship material. I would actually rather see Yan fight Merab in a rematch than Corey Sandhagen get the title shot, who's on a 1-fight win streak. Makes absolutely no sense. I think Yan has a better chance to make the adjustments and beat Merab rather than Corey Sandhagen, who's lost every big fight he's ever had. But I'm a little bit worried here. I think Marcus McGhee could shock us, but I'm not going to pick him. You can't pick Marcus McGhee in this spot. Petr Yan, elite, has always been elite, hasn't really shown any regression, has super high fight IQ, has really good striking, can mix in the grappling. People forget, in that first fight against Aljamain Sterling, Yan was out-grappling him, was dominating him in the grappling. Even in the second fight, after the 2 rounds where he let Aljo backpack him, he was out-grappling Aljo. So I think Yan has that in his back pocket. He can mix it in against Marcus McGhee. I don't think he's going to be able to easily take down Marcus McGhee and control him. But I think putting that all together against a guy like Marcus McGhee, I think Yan wins. I don't think he's finishing Marcus McGhee, though. Especially in a 3-rounder. Maybe in a 5-rounder he could finish Marcus McGhee. But in a 3-rounder, I think he's going to touch him up. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think both guys are going to have their moments. I'm going to pick Petr Yan to win via decision. I just think overall, I've seen way more out of Petr Yan. I think Marcus McGhee can fight at a high level. And again, I love that they're throwing him in the deep waters at 35 years old in the bantamweight division. But I think Petr Yan gets it done. I don't think Marcus McGhee is at the top of the bantamweight division, which is where I believe Petr Yan is. And Petr Yan is amazing absolutely everywhere. He's a well-rounded mixed martial artist. I'm picking him to get it done over Marcus McGhee in the co-main event. I'm going to say 30-27. Maybe one of the rounds is super close. Maybe one of the judges gives one round to Marcus McGhee as I'm stumbling over my words. But yeah, I'm picking the former champion in Petr Yan to get it done over McGhee. Next fight on the card, the main events. The main events of the evening. Middleweight matchup, Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder, my personal hitman. Who am I going with in this one? The pick you guys all want to know. Man, I've struggled with this one. I've struggled. I can see a scenario, okay, where Robert Whittaker goes out there and just fucking schools Reinier de Ridder. He's hitting him with combinations, ending with that high kick. And then everyone's like, man, Reinier de Ridder fraud check, even though that's not even what fraud check really means. But that fraud check, man, how could you not see Whittaker going out there and schooling Reinier de Ridder? Man, he beat Bo Nickel. And I do think Reinier de Ridder probably is getting a little bit too much hype off of making that Penn State little bitch boy, beta male, soy boy quit in his last fight. That being said, I'm going Reinier de Ridder. I'm picking him. The size advantage is massive. And I think Khamzat Chimaev, I think he took Robert Whittaker's soul, man. Broke his teeth up, made him frantically tap, victimize him. If you know, you know. And I think Reinier de Ridder has that funky, awkward style with that grappling base that he can beat Robert Whittaker's ass, man. It's a physicality advantage for Reinier de Ridder. We've seen it. We've seen it before. We've seen this story before. You remember when Robert Whittaker fought DDP? Sloppy, awkward, physical, physically imposing, stronger guy. I said this going into the Khamzat fight. I will never forget at the end of that first round when Dricus du Plessis threw Whittaker like a little bitch. Threw him on the ground. Whittaker's almost 35 years old. And I know losing to Khamzat Chimaev, there's no shame in that. But the way he got victimized and frantically tapped was crazy. Before that, he beat Ikram Aliskerov on short notice. Means nothing. Before that, beat Paulo Costa. Means nothing. I don't care what Paulo Costa recently did. That's not vintage Paulo Costa. And while Reinier, I'm trying to say his name right, Reinier de Ridder, he's only beaten Bo Nickel and Kevin Holland, who's a scrub. Both of those guys are scrubs. I mean, he's my personal hitman. I wish he would have got beta boy Sean Strickland, but he's too busy getting suspended by the commission. And I know he went to war with Gerald Meerschaert, but he finished Gerald Meerschaert. He Meerschaerted Meerschaert. And I just think for a guy like Robert Whittaker, who likes to kind of hang back and then blitz in and then hang back and blitz in, when he's fighting these kind of funky styles, especially guys who have size advantages on him, I just think he kind of gets bullied a bit. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think de Ridder is going to bully Robert Whittaker. I think early, Whittaker's going to look good, but I think de Ridder is going to be able to absorb that damage. I mean, de Ridder in one championship was fighting at heavyweight at one point against Anatoly Malikin, I think is how you pronounce his name, who was roided up. And I don't think Robert Whittaker can even put that type of damage on him. I just don't think he's going to be able to. So I see Reinier de Ridder going out there, walking him down, getting touched up a bit early, but making the fight dirty, getting to the clinch, ripping to the body with short, ugly shots, knees to the body. And I see eventually Robert Whittaker folding. We've seen him fold against DDP. We've seen it. Now, I don't think he's going to fold as early as Bo Nickel. We saw Bo Nickel blatantly quit in the first round, okay? He got finished in the second, but he quit in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think as de Ridder starts moving downhill and he's walking Robert Whittaker down and he's touching him up to the body, he's going upstairs, I think Whittaker is eventually going to crumble. And whether he gets dropped and then de Ridder jumps on him and TKOs him or jumps on him and subs him, I don't know, but it's a 5-round fight. And I don't see Whittaker. When's he one touch KOing somebody? Especially a guy who's much bigger than him. Robert Whittaker probably could have been a career welterweight. De Ridder is a massive middleweight. We've seen this story before. We've seen it against DDP, who has this awkward style. I think de Ridder can follow that blueprint. Now, I think ultimately, I'm going to go de Ridder, but via sub. I could even see Whittaker having another teeth issue, okay? And he's going to make an excuse again. My teeth are broken, man. It wasn't a real win. People are saying that against Khamzat Chimaev. But yeah, I'm gonna ultimately pick Reinier de Ridder. I'm gonna say 3rd round sub, but I'm gonna say 1st round. Whittaker looks good, man. He looks good. He's landing some good shots. De Ridder's looking sloppy on the feet. Everyone's getting ready to say fraud, man. He's a fraud. Too much hype off of beating Bo Nickel. And then there's going to be like one shot that lands. It's like getting Whittaker's attention and his nose starts bleeding. And then De Ridder's going to really start working the body and moving forward and clinching up and just manhandling him and wearing on him in the clinch. And then eventually he's going to drop Whittaker with something, crumple him with something, and then jump on him and snatch up like a guillotine or like a rear naked choke. I'm going Reinier de Ridder. I'm going to say 3rd round submission. How is he going to sub him? How is he going to sub him? You know what? I'm going to say rear naked choke. I'm going to say rear naked choke. He got one against bummy-ass Kevin Holland. He's going to get one against Robert Whittaker. I just think all those factors combined with the fact I think Khamzat took his soul. I think Robert Whittaker wakes up in the middle of the night with cold sweats thinking about what Khamzat Chimaev did to him. And I just don't think he's ever going to be the same. And we've seen him crumple too many times in his last 4 fights. And I think De Ridder's size and physicality is a massive advantage in this fight. And every single time someone can just out-muscle Robert Whittaker, he loses. And he doesn't have nuclear power to keep sloppy De Ridder off of him. And I think De Ridder, while he's going to be getting tagged early, he's going to march him down, whoop him to the body, and eventually find a finish in the 3rd round. I'm going Reinier de Ridder, 3rd round, rear naked choke in the main event of UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Looking forward to it, though. This could be one of those picks where you're like, oh my God, we should have seen this coming. Because I get the argument. De Ridder has looked sloppy. He went to war with Gerald Meerschaert. Robert Whittaker's a former middleweight champion. I think De Ridder was actually criminally underrated going into the Bo fight. I really do. And I think he's going to go out there and beat up a past his prime, but not scrubby Robert Whittaker. I think De Ridder gets it done. I think he's going to sub him in the 3rd round after whooping him to the body and just breaking him in the clinch, similar to what he did against Bo Nickel. But I don't think Whittaker will straight up quit. I think he'll get hurt and then eventually subbed. So I'm picking De Ridder. Can't wait for this fight card. I'll be live streaming it on Saturday if you care to join me for my reactions. I cannot wait. Actually, a good fight night card for a change. Like the video. Let me know who you're picking in the main event down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.